Welcome back to Nonstop Recap. Today, we'll be going over a Korean erotic thriller called Housemaid. The film begins with Yoon-yi and her friend starting work in the middle of a busy city. They cook in a restaurant's kitchen while watching all the people pass by outside on the street. The film then shows a young woman step to the edge of her balcony above the busy city and jump to her death. The sirens and ensuing crowd draw the attention of Yoon-yi's friend, and they decide to head over after work to check out the scene. By the time they get there later in the night, all that is left to see is a chalk outline of the body and a blood stain on the pavement where the head was. Yoon-yi takes a moment to stare at the outline and surrounding area. We then see Yoon-yi and her friend sleeping at home in a small, cramped apartment where they share one twin bed. Yoon-yi wakes up and goes to the roof for some fresh air. We see Byung-sik arrive at the apartment building in search of Yoon-yi. She enters Yoon-yi's home and finds her on the roof, and they go to a coffee shop to talk. At the shop, Byung-sik apologizes for entering her home but said she needed to see how she lived because she needs to be careful of new hires. We then see Yoon-yi waiting for a train. The movie then shows a pregnant Hera stretching with a trainer while Byung-sik and Yoon-yi stand to the side waiting. As Hera finishes, Byung-sik hands her the drink and introduces Yoon-yi. Hera sees Yoon-yi staring at her belly and jokes that she knows it's big, but it's because she's having twins. Hera then realizes Yoon-yi didn't know that and tells Byung-sik she had told her to tell the new hires that. Yoon-yi tells Hera it's not a problem. We then see Byung-sik bringing a uniform to Yoon-yi and telling her she should always wear it when working. Byung-sik then tells her to make sure she washes Hera's underwear, so once Yoon-yi is dressed, she goes to get it. We then see Nami, Hera and Hoon's daughter, arrive home from school. As they walk upstairs, Yoon-yi smiles and is friendly while Nami is serious. At dinner, Hera asks Nami what she thinks of the new maid, Yoon-yi. Nami says she can tell Yoon-yi likes her because of how her face looks when Yoon-yi looks at her. Yoon-yi and Byung-sik serve the food. Later, while cleaning it up, Byung-sik tells Yoon-yi they should eat the fancy leftovers because it'll just get thrown out anyway. They sit and eat in the kitchen. When Hera's husband Hoon arrives home from work, Byung-sik and Yoon-yi stand in the doorway and bow. Nami tells her dad that Yoon-yi is divorced. Hoon tells Yoon-yi to sit and sends Nami upstairs. He tells Yoon-yi he doesn't have anything to say but feels he should meet the person who would be taking care of his kids. Hoon asks Byung-sik to send a bottle of wine upstairs for him and Hera. Yoon-yi is surprised that Hoon calls Byung-sik Madam. Byung-sik pours herself a small glass of wine and has Yoon-yi bring the rest upstairs. Upstairs, Hera and Hoon are discussing her pregnancy. She says she's tired. Hoon tells her she's exercising too much, but Hera says she must because she's determined to have a natural birth and that will help. Yoon-yi arrives and serves them wine while Hoon tells Hera that if she wants a natural birth, he'll make sure the doctors don't do a C-section. When Yoon-yi gets back to her room for the night, she's exhausted, but Nami calls her. There's a door between their rooms and Nami wants her to leave it open a bit. In the morning, Byung-sik and Yoon-yi make breakfast. Yoon-yi takes a tray of food to Hoon. She's surprised to find him playing Beethoven on the piano. The two maids, Hera and Nami, all go to the door to see Hoon off to work. He hugs his daughters but just says a quick bye to his wife before walking off. They then all go inside to have breakfast. We then see Hera in a bath with Yoon-yi washing her hair. Hera complains the water is too hot. Yoon-yi is then painting her toenails. Hera tells her to do her fingernails tomorrow. Hoon arrives home and Yoon-yi is cleaning the bathroom. Hoon gets some wine and goes upstairs to see Hera. He hears the water on in the bathroom but sees Hera, so he opens the bathroom door to see why the water is going. Yoon-yi's maid outfit has ridden up her thighs as she was bent over. Hoon stares at her in appreciation and Yoon-yi quickly turns the water off and leaves. The movie then shows Yoon-yi going with the family on a short trip. At night, Hoon and Hera are having sex. Hera talks about not understanding why people wouldn't want 4 or 5 kids. During sex, she stops and says it's hurting, so she will finish Hoon off with her mouth. The movie then shows Yoon-yi in the room she's staying in. Hoon comes in without knocking, carrying wine and not wearing a shirt. He pours her wine, tells her to drink it, then tells her to take the blanket off so he can see all of her. She looks unsure but does as he asks. She's wearing wearing a tank top and underwear. He begins to touch her as she lays there. Then he sits her up and she hesitates, then pulls down his pants. He tells her to suck him off and she does. The next morning, they drove back home. Life goes on as normal, with Hoon going to work and Yoonhee doing her responsibilities. We find out Byung-sik's son accomplished something great when Hoon stops to congratulate her. That night, Hoon goes to find Yoonhee. They have sex and Byung-sik overhears. During sex, Hoon wants to finish inside Yoonhee, but she says no. She tells him she's terrified but won't say why. The next morning, when Yoonhee brings Hoon his breakfast, he gives her a check. She feels used and sits sadly on the stairs. Byung-sik sees this. Later, Yoonhee is helping Hera and feels the baby's kick. We later see Byung-sik and Yoonhee talking. Byung-sik tells her this job has hardened her, and it is the runs. Revolting, ugly, nauseating, and shameless. Byung-sik tries to ask Yoonhee questions to see if she'll admit to anything, but Yoonhee doesn't. The next day, Byung-sik has lunch with Hera's mother. She tells her that Hoon and Yoonhee slept together, and she thinks Yoonhee is pregnant but doesn't realize it. Meanwhile, Yoonhee goes with her friend to her mom's grave and tells her what happened with Hoon, including that he paid her after sex. Later, Yoonhee is up on a high ladder dusting the chandelier while Nami is on the stairs. Hera and her mom walk down the stairs and the mom purposely shoves the ladder. Nami sees this. Yoonhee falls, grabs onto the chandelier, but then her grip slips and she falls. She's sent to the hospital but will be okay. Byung-sik can tell it was Hera's mom who was responsible. While Yoonhee is at the hospital, Hera and her mom talk. Hera is upset her mom did that in front of Nami. Her mom tells her about the affair and possible pregnancy and that something needs to be done about it. Byung-sik visits Yoonhee at the hospital and tries to encourage her to leave. She also delivers flowers and a check from the family. She warns Yoonhee that this is how people like this work. They pay you off if problems come up. Hera is mad at Byung-sik for talking to her mom and not her. Hoon is confused as to why Yoonhee is at the hospital. At the hospital, Yoonhee finds out she's pregnant. Her friend tells her to take time to think about what she wants to do. We then see Hera's mom get a call from Byung-sik that Yoonhee officially knows she's pregnant and that tests were done, so it's a sure thing. Hera and her mom discuss options. Hera can't get over that her husband would want the person who washes her underwear when he has her. We then see Yoonhee arrive back at the hospital. She doesn't know anyone else knows about the affair or pregnancy. That night, Hera sneaks into her room while she's sleeping and is about to whack her on the head with a golf club, but changes her mind. Byung-sik sees this, but Hera doesn't care. The next morning, Yoonhee tells Byung-sik she doesn't always feel safe in the house, and again, Byung-sik tries to hint that she should find a new job. Yoonhee finally agrees, and Byung-sik goes with her to tell Hera, whose mother is always there. Hera slaps her and hits her head and says she knows everything. Hera's mom gives her a check, and she says she can keep it if she has an abortion. After Yoonhee leaves the room, Hera tells her mom she knows she won't take the money. She says she's too sweet to her daughter and unborn babies to be able to have an abortion. Later that night, Nami tells Yoonhee she's sorry because she saw her grandma push the ladder on purpose. The next day, we see Hera leave an herbal store and then put new food pouches that Yoonhee likes in the fridge and mixes them among the pouches already there. She also tells Byung-sik to move Yoonhee into the room by Byung-sik and keep an eye on her. Nami asks Yoonhee what's going on, and she tells her she's pregnant, so Nami will have a new nanny soon. Hera goes into labor and tells Byung-sik to keep an eye on Yoonhee while she's at the hospital. Hoon meets her there. At home, Yoonhee tells Byung-sik she has decided to keep the baby. Hoon's bodyguards take Yoonhee's phone. At the hospital, Hoon and Hera take pictures with the babies. After, Hoon tries to kiss her and she bites him. Later, we see Yoonhee go into Hera and Hoon's bedroom to look around and suddenly gets stomach pain. Hoon comes home and finds Yoonhee is now in their bathtub. Byung-sik enters as well. Yoonhee tells him she's pregnant, it's his wife smacked her around, and she wants to keep it, despite his wife trying to pay her to have an abortion. Hoon leaves the room, and Yoonhee starts having stomach pain and bleeding. Later, she's lying in bed in pain, and Byung-sik is cleaning the food pouches out of her fridge. Hoon comes in and sees what she's doing. He tells Yoonhee if she wants the baby, then they'll have the baby. We later see Yoonhee getting wheeled out to an ambulance. ambulance. The doctor is there talking with Hera's mom, saying she gave Yoonhee something to sleep and saying she couldn't believe the men in that family. At the hospital, Yoonhee is taken into surgery while she's still unconscious and given a procedure to get rid of the baby. The nurses question why they're doing that if Yoonhee isn't awake and hasn't signed that it's okay, but the doctor tells them to just do it. Meanwhile, at the house, Hoon asks to speak with his mother-in-law. He says he knows what she and Hera did and that she killed his child. When Yoonhee wakes up from surgery, she's devastated. Byung-sik confesses she was the reason the women knew about her affair and pregnancy. Yoonhee slaps her and is furious. Yoonhee promises to get revenge for what the family did to her. At home, Hoon tells Hera they haven't had sex in a while. She tells him he's unclean and he tells her to find him when she wants more kids. We see Byung-sik let Yoonhee into the house and give her a hug. Yoonhee goes up to the nursery to hug the babies. Hoon finds her and says to give back his babies. She does so while laughing at him, then runs off. They don't know where in the house she is. Byung-sik then announces she is quitting. Her son has an important job and she is done with the awful people they all are. Yoonhee appears on the second floor balcony above everyone. Byung-sik asks her not to do this, but when she realizes Yoonhee is going to anyway, she walks out of the house. Yoonhee then picks up a noose tied to the chandelier, tells Nami she's sorry, and jumps. She doesn't die immediately, and Hera's mom tries to cover Nami's eyes. Then Yoonhee catches fire, and the family runs out of the house. We later see the family with new nannies and maids celebrating Nami's birthday. Hera appears drunk and sits far from Hoon. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more.